Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we've had the reveal of the latest databank download for Star Wars Shatterpoint. Looking at Hondo Ohnaka, the unforgettable pirate captain found in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Really cool, really fun character in the TV show. Do go and check it out if you haven't seen anything, or you're a bit unsure of who he is, but yeah, I can see this one probably being quite polarising in the sense of you're either going to pick him up nice and early, or he's probably going to be someone that you skip on because you've got potentially no idea who he is or anything like that. But yeah, we've got the reveal for Hondo, so we haven't got the other bits that come out for him with him. So we haven't got his number 2, and we haven't got the pirates that come with, but just the databank download here for Hondo. So let's have a quick look. Sculpt wise, I think this feels very Hondo. As he's walking out welcoming people. If you watch the Clone Wars or anything like that, you'll probably see him in a very familiar pose, welcoming people in to his little pirate enclave. It would be interesting to see if his this pet is optional. If you can leave it off him, I would personally probably leave it off if I could do, but it also might be attached to a part of his head or anything like that. You never know. But yeah, let's have a quick look at what we get into. So, first thing that we see is on his unit card here. So he is 7 squad points, and he is also changing the mold a bit. So we're only getting 2 force with him. So I think the only other character we've seen 2 force on is Cad Bane. Also happens to be a bounty hunter, but he does come with 9 squad points. So the fact that Hondo is a 7 and a 2, most other 7s are, I think, 4, maybe 3 or 4. In fact, most other 7s are 4. So, yeah, just a bit of an odd one. But he is Hondo, honest businessman, Hondo Ohnaka primary unit. But I think if we look at his unit card, we'll see a bit more potentially why that force number is quite low. First of all, does it say anything particularly? No, just a bit of spiel about him and who he is, things like that. So let's get into his unit card here. So he has got a tactic ability, 2 active abilities, a reactive ability, and then an identity ability as well. So he has got the mercenary, scoundrel, and weak way tags with a stamina of 9, a durability of 3. And if we start off there looking at that tactic ability, this is why you might see that he's got a bit less force. So at the start of this unit's activation, refresh 1 force for each active objective controlled by another player. So you are, if you're going with someone else first, and then your opponent's taking a couple of objectives, and then you can pull out a Hondo, and you can refresh some of that force straight off, which is, yeah, very, very cool, and a nice way to feel like you've got more than potentially, 4 or 5 force, depending on who else you're going to run him with. And you can just keep using some of those nice powerful abilities on people throughout your turn. We've got then the first of his 2 active abilities, so inspiring stories, so many of them true, costing 1 force, and it's choose an allied unit. 1 character in this unit and each character in the chosen unit may dash. So yeah, very cool. It's something we've seen on some other people's tactic abilities, something very similar, potentially only with 1 character from the unit, but this is going to affect both of those characters, so you're potentially going to move up to 3 people at the start of his turn, or at some point in his turn, by doing this inspiring stories, which is, yeah, you want to try and go and control some of those objectives or make a play, anything like that. That could be quite powerful to get some of your people back together, or to get some more people engaged, as we'll get down to the very bottom there. And then we've got what have we here, so his second active ability, again costing 1 force. Choose an enemy unit that's within range 2. The chosen unit suffers the pinned and then the strained condition. And then if the unit's order card is in reserve, you may spend 1 force to shuffle it into its controlling player's order deck. So very nice, because obviously your opponent is going to have, first of all, is going to have cost them force to put that order card into reserve. And you can just spend another force to shuffle it straight back into their deck, and that could really scuffle their plans or anything like that. But I think what's more important here is that we've got that, basically 1 force to drop 2 conditions onto an opponent that you're engaged with, which is very nice, particularly with that strained condition going on there as well. Something that you're going to be forcing your opponent to pretty much give up one of their two turns in their activation. And then we've got that reactive ability. This effort is no longer profitable. This is probably my favourite ability. Again, costing 1 force here. So when another allied unit within 4 becomes wounded, this unit may use this ability. One character in this unit may reposition, and that character may not end this movement engaged. So he's seen one of his mates get blown up, or shot to pieces, or something like that. He can run away basically. It's very cool, and range 4 plus a reposition is actually quite a long distance that you're going to be able to either move Hondo from, or move Hondo to, or anything like that. Obviously, just that last caveat there that you can't end the movement engaged. But a free reposition at some point in your turn, not in your turn even, very cool indeed. And then last of all, we get to that identity ability. So fair, what's fair? When an allied scoundrel character makes an attack as part of a combat action, if the defender is engaged with one or more characters in other allied units that are not wounded, it may add 2 dice to the attack roll. Something we've seen before. If you've got someone else engaged with them, add some extra dice, things like that. If it does, after the attack is resolved, each of the allied unit within range 2 of the defender, except the attacking unit, gains the strained condition. So a bit of a drawback to that. So you are going to add 2 dice to your attack when scoundrels attack. But the flip side is that they're then going to take the strained condition back themselves. But it might be worth it. You're trying to gang up on someone or anything like that. You want those additional dice to roll for those crits, roll for those hits to do some damage. Knowing the drawback is you're going to get the strained condition. It might be something quite cool, but yeah, it feels a bit cool because it feels a bit like the pirates are getting into a bit of a melee or something like that, and all guns are firing in each and every direction. So yeah, then we've got Hondo's unit card. Do we see anything on here? So we've got Hondo keeps an eye on objectives, tactics ability allowed to refresh force, blah blah blah. Distracting foe charms, active ability lets him choose allies in dash or better position. Yeah. So nothing that we've seen there. And then we've got two different stance cards. So the first one here, Clever Captain. So here's a ranged 4. I think with both of these, they've got the exact same stats from an attack perspective. They have indeed. So they are both ranged 4, 7 dice attack and 5 dice defensively, or melee 5 dice attack and 5 dice defensively as well. But if we start off there, looking at Clever Captain, we've got his expertise. So his ranged expertise 1 to 3 is becoming 1 crit and 1 hit. 4 plus is becoming 2 crits and a hit. And then 5 plus, they're becoming 2 crits and 2 hits as well. Very nice. Lots of additional damage able to get out that way. And then we've got that ranged electro staff. So, melee electro staff. 1 to 2 becoming a crit. 3 becoming a crit and a hit. And 4 plus becoming 2 crits and a hit. So, looking at his abilities and his range attack, you're probably going to be using that range attack there a bit more. And then last of all, we've got his defensive expertise, which is I think is probably one of the strongest defensive expertises that we've seen so far. So just 1 expertise and you're turning a crit to a fail, 2 and you're getting a block plus turn a crit to a fail, and 3 plus you're getting 2 blocks and turn a crit to a fail. So that turn a crit to a fail off of 1 expertise is awesome. And based on the law of averages, you're probably going to be turning at least 1 crit straight to a fail in every time you roll defensively with him. So really maximising that ability to keep him safe. And then if we look at his combat tree, we are going to start off on this side with 1 damage and then the pinned condition. We can either go up top for 2 heals or come down to the bottom for a damage and a reposition from there. So we've got that choice to make. No matter where we go there, we're going to go back into the middle for a 2 damage and a shove. And then again, we've got a choice to make. We're either going up top for a damage and a disarmed, or down the bottom for a damage and an exposed. Followed last off by a shove, a heal, and a damage as well. So not huge amounts of damage output, and only 6. 6 is the maximum if we're going to follow that entire damage there. But we do get some shoves out of it. We do get some conditions. We do get potentially some heals or some free repositioning from there as well. And let's see how that compares to his Pugnacious Pirate. So yeah, this one looks a little more bonkers in terms of what's on there, but we know that we've got that the attack and defense dice rolling are exactly the same. His expertise here is a lot different. So his range expertise, 1 to 2 is just becoming 1 hit, 3 becoming a crit and a hit, and then 4 plus becoming a crit, a hit, and a damage as well. Or we go into that melee mode. So 1 to 2 becoming a crit and a hit, 3 to 4 becoming 2 crits and a hit, and then 5 plus becoming 2 crits and 2 hits. And then last of all is defensive expertise. So this side isn't as good at all. So 1 is becoming 1 block, 2 to 3 is a block, a heal, and a jump. And then 4 plus is becoming 2 blocks, a heal, and a jump as well. And then if we look at this combat tree here, it's probably the most confusing looking combat tree you've seen. So steps 1 to 4, you can literally choose any of them in that order. So to make it nice and easy, we're just going to talk about it row by row, or column by column, I guess technically. So your first step that you are doing, oh, you can't, sorry, I've just noticed the crisscross doesn't always go the way, so it looks a bit more confusing than it is. So we're going to start with that first column. So you either start along the top for 1 damage and a shove, or you come down to the bottom for 2 damage. And then from there, you can go to either of the next in the column. So you can either go to 1 damage and an exposed, or 1 damage and a shove. And then from there, if we were to go, so if we then go on that top tree, which is 1 damage and the exposed, we have to come down to the bottom for 2 damage. Followed up by going to the top for a damage and a shove, followed by 2 damage and the climb action as his final ability there. So 5 total successes possible. Or if we go along the bottom tree, we go from the damage and the shove to the damage and the pinned condition, followed by 2 damage, followed by a damage and a shove as well, last of all. So maximum damage we're going to output on here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In fact, 8 in total. So more damage on this side. A little bit more of a confusing combat tree, but that's just Hondo all over. Trying to throw witty, crazy things out there to distract you. So that it takes a little bit of time to get around that. We've got his some more spiel down here around the bottom. And then, yeah, that is everything. So that is the Hondo reveal for Star Wars Shatterpoint. So, yeah, potentially, you know, a box that you're either going to go, yes, I really want that, or a box that you go, no, I don't want that at all. I think it'll be interesting to see what other scoundrels are coming out that we can attach him with. We did see Moff Gideon last week. Moff Gideon is a scoundrel himself, so potentially, you know, is Hondo going to work with Moff Gideon quite well, or anything like that. So, yeah, I think I'll pick him up just because, you know, I like the character from the Clone Wars. He made me laugh with some of the scenes that he was in. But otherwise, let me know your thoughts down below. Is it someone you're going to pick up or someone you're going to miss on entirely? Thank you for checking out the video, and we'll see you in the next one.